the September 6th meeting of the Planning Commission. So could we have a call to order, please? Well, this is the call to order. Can we have the Pledge to Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, everybody be seated, and good evening, everyone. Can we have roll call, please?
Yes. Ray Curtin,
Here.
Lloyd Kernan,
Here.
Glenn Mitchell,
Here.
Derek Burton,
Here.
Mike McCanney,
Here.
Kelly Fletcher,
Here.
Pam Mason.
Here, all present. We have the agenda before us. Do we have any changes or amendments we'd like on the agenda? I don't see any changes. Can we have a motion to accept?
Move to accept the agenda as provided.
All right,
I
Glenn
support.
Mitchell, and support by Lloyd Kernan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, none opposed. All right, so next we're moving to public comment. And this is going to be the time for public comment only for items that are on the agenda. And I do want to make it clear, I know we have another public comment that comes at the end where we ask anybody that's attending if they have any other issues that they would like to bring up or bring before the Planning Commission. So for public comment, when it regards to just whatever's on the agenda, I would like to just keep it to this portion of the agenda. And if you have a comment, you'd please step forward, clearly state your name and your address for our records.
Seems like you guys keep moving that further away. All right. Angela Corliss, 3086 Quick Road. I'm going to start with a quick definition. Rule of relating to country, country people, life, or agriculture. I looked at Cherry Hill down in Canton. It is beautiful.
So you took a ride and took
I
a little.
did.
It is beautiful, isn't it?
It's beautiful, and it should be with $400,000 homes and gorgeous landscaping. I also looked further into the maps in the 2040 plan. Map 12 in the 2040 master plan shows the area for phase 1 is listed as 1.5 acre lots for future land use overlay zoning. They are currently planning on 111 homes where there should be 30. Map 17 looks at the green infrastructure. In the areas considered green links or green sites, I'll admit it's kind of hard to tell which is which because the yellow is such close in color. Sites, though, are smaller than hubs. They're smaller ecological landscape features that can serve as a point of origin or destination or incorporate less extensive ecological important areas. Links, which I think the areas in question actually are the connections that hold the network together and enable them to function. They facilitate movement from one hub to the other. It appears that they want to build 16 homes and a nursing facility in these areas. Speaking from experience, in the short time that we've owned our home on Quick Road, the area between Fish Lake Road and Quick Road right there, where they're planning on building 8 homes, it floods every time it rains, any amount of rain. This area is currently planned, like I said, for 6 homes. For 8 homes, and then further down, they have an area that's planned for 6 homes. Standing water is also an issue there, and it's also marked as a link. This area is all clay. If they build here, what happens to existing homes? To my home? I've been told by neighbors that the standing water wasn't an issue until they started developing Riverside. Even with the retention pond, it's still an issue. Now we're going to allow them to overdevelop this area further. I agree with Mr. Epping when he stated at the last meeting that the area in question is not an open space, it is not a community park, and that it is entitled to be developed along with the master plan and our ordinances and zoning. It is, however, not Silverman's properties to do with as they please, regardless of ordinance and zoning. He stated that they are obligated to be good neighbors and good corporate citizens. I encourage them to do just that.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Do we have anybody else that would like to make a comment at this time?
I can.
Yes, please step forward.
You know, she's so eloquent, and I get up here and I just look like I crawled out of a hole. But, you know, I mean, it is concerning, because I am a neighbor to Angela's West. I've been here 5 years, and I'm getting flooding. I've called the road commission. They've done something a couple times. Excuse me. But I'm noticing a lot of differences just based in the last 5 years of living in this home. Excuse me. Quick Road is a bypass of Grange Hall Road. If you've gone down Grange Hall Road anytime, 4:30 in the afternoon, I mean, you're talking, it is backed up to Seven Lakes Party Store all the way to North Hollywood, you know, and now we're going to throw in so many more homes, so many more people. The fire department already had concerns about the space, the issues. These people are trying to just cram homes in. I understand it's their place, but I wouldn't be able to build an amusement park on my little lot just because of the zoning issues, and they're there for a reason. Are there going to be concessions made to those of us who, you know, border this new, I mean, it's a new community. It's so concerning. The whole reason we moved here, I saw this, I could have bought a million different homes that were packed in, but I didn't want to live in Hazel Park. You know, I didn't move out here to be in Royal Oak or Ferndale where I could just hear every conversation, see everything my neighbor does. And now I'm going to have 40 new homes almost directly back behind me. And it just makes us want to go somewhere else, you know, and we're going to go farther north. Next thing you know, I mean, we're trying to just pack people in without consideration of the future and the you know, the infrastructure that's going to take take care of all of the people. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, sorry, I just go sit back down. Chad Sands, 3076 Quick Road. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Do we have any other comments?
Martin Andreski, 2105 Middle Ridge Drive, right here in Holly Township, adjacent to where the Riverside continuation development is being proposed. I realize that it doesn't appear that they're present, but I did have some things I wanted to bring up, and I'll be as concise as I can. Over the past several months, the phrases that I keep writing down, I keep my notes and I review them later, is it's common practice. It's common practice when times get tough that we stop the project, sell them to someone else, give it back to the bank. Well, that common practice left almost 20 years of a mess where I live, and it is no closer to being completed and cleaned up. Now, Jim mentioned at length, we have worked with, we've done this, we've done that, and really what I wrote down is, it sounds real nice and all, but he hasn't worked with anybody. There's nothing. He still has a mess on the property that he owns. He still has mounds of fill dirt and construction debris. There's actually an excavator bucket out there and other things that are still sitting there. So when he tries to convince me that he's working with somebody to help for the better of us, he still hasn't even cleaned up his own mess. This is not the approach that is showing his commitment, his dedication, and his quality. He mentioned several times, we, they, this is what we envisioned. I went to Silverman's own website, took this off their own website. In fact, it's titled The Vision. And at the bottom of it, Buzz Silverman quotes, "For every proposal, they organize intense market research, conduct intense focus groups, and test customer preferences to determine product, design, feasibility, and target marketing." I'd like to see that. Because Jim tells us a lot about things that they're doing, but never gives any backup of here's the report, here's the date, and it was done by this person, and it applies to this. And I've called him out on it 3 times. No one's talked to me. He's asked for my address. I've given it willingly every time. He doesn't stop by to talk. He doesn't want to know what I want to say, or doesn't care what I have to say. Now, I will say this. The traffic, above and beyond anything else, is a concern that it's got to be a huge concern for everyone. Now, when we were talking about how many vehicles the average household has, and we were trying to downplay that, I actually went and I pulled the studies, and I pulled many articles, and I listed the sources that you can have anything I have. It's, I'd be willing to provide everything without hesitation. But the studies that were done, and it was backed up by almost 10 different sources, and most of it was even United Census, that the average number of households with at least one vehicle for Michigan is 92.5%. The average number of vehicles in Michigan averages at 2.1%. Now, it didn't break it out in the different between the urban and rural areas. Now, when we look across the country, the lowest number of vehicles per household is 1.2, and that's Washington, D.C. And I think we could probably safely assume you can't drive anywhere there. I have nieces that actually live in that area. When you pull out Washington, D.C. and New York, the average number of houses, the least amount of vehicles in the nation is 1.8. And if you take out the highest, which is 4.5 of Montana, the highest number is 3.7. So when we talk about how many real vehicles are we going to have to compete with and what traffic, they want to build 113 homes in phase 1. They want to put an extra 26 into phase 2, 108 townhouses in phase 3, and then they're looking at doing a full nursing center and assisted living that is supposed to be a 3-level building. And I've toured all the ones around here, the ones off Owen Road, the new ones they're doing, the ones down in Grand Blanc. And I took a look at, especially on a holiday weekend, how many cars are actually parked there for staff and visitors and so on. So if I were to say, okay, at 113 homes in phase 1, at 2.1 cars per household, there's 238 there. Even if I took it down to the 1.8, which is the lowest nationwide, not even applying to Michigan, that's 104. We could argue in our area where we have no mass transit or anything else of that nature, we could comfortably say it could be closer to 3 cars per household, which drive through any of our subs around here, and that would be tough to challenge, and that would be 339. Phase 2 on Middle Ridge, just at the 2.1, is an extra 55 cars. Phase 3, the townhomes at 108, that's 277. And these are only going off the 2.1 cars. Taking a look at the nursing homes, the assisted between the support there, you're comfortably looking at least 100 to 200 cars between staff and visitors that are coming and going. So when we talk about that without the commercial real estate, and at 40,000 square foot, which is what they're recommending, I looked at many different studies, and they said if your commercial real estate is open for at least 12 hours of operation, you will have at least 25 vehicles an hour at minimum, or it doesn't pay to have that real estate there. It can go all the way up to 60 vehicles an hour, depending on what type of commercial that is there, whether it's a fast food or something of that nature. So even if I take the 25 an hour, there's another 300 cars to expect there, or roughly 1,030 vehicles daily expected to bring traffic to these intersections. We did talk about they're going to funnel them over to Quick. I got news for you. That is the biggest pipe dream I've ever heard in my life. I sit down and I watch the traffic come through. People cut off North Holly Road to come through Mill Point to avoid the Grange Hall Saginaw Holly interchange. It is very common. I watch people from Quick come come on the dirt walking path around the water tower and drive through the field to come in through there when it's backed up. Because I live right on Middle Ridge, I stare straight up into there. We don't have room for 1,000 cars a day. We don't have a plan for it. They talked about the minimum lengths of driveways, because I did pull that up off and I blew up his plans and looked at it, was 25 feet. You can't block the sidewalk, you can't hang out into the street. I know how deep the garages are because I'm in the homes that they said they're gonna model it at. I don't know where you're parking the cars but on the street. Where are we going to have people from the nursing home that can cut through, the commercial that can cut through, the people that are trying to avoid Grange Hall traffic, and God forbid we have an emergency with first responders or fire or something of that nature. Again, I'm not here saying they can't do something with their property. I would be just as upset if somebody said I couldn't do something with my own property. But what I am saying is they bought that property, that good chunk of it that says they can develop a home per acre and a half, not jam 3 to 5 on that acre. If they want to build it, hold them to what they purchased the property at. Now they do have, and I don't know if this is known or if anyone's brought it up, but they have listed those properties for sale. The 94 acres, or the 90 for, and then the commercial on the road, they're both still actively listed for sale
Yes,
as
I
we
saw
speak.
that.
So are they just trying to jam through an approval to make it worth more to let somebody else come in here and make a mess? It seems like they only wish to tell us part of the story. Now they told us all about how their development in Independence Township and down by Clarkston was so great. So I decided to look into that. They are reducing and coming up with all types of incentives to bring people in there, because the townhomes that start off at $339 and go up to almost $500,000, and the standalone homes that start at $474 and go up into the $630. They are now trying to subsidize the interest on them. The example they have on the townhomes is first year will only charge you $299, then $399 the second year, and then $499, and then year 5 and plus, then it adjusts. They're treating it like a variable. Obviously, they've seen that the current economic state is not moving their product. Do we want another Dust Bowl? I don't. We just got it to the point where we can have our windows open and we don't have dust from all the construction and the backfill and everything else filling the house up. Again, I don't have anything against furthering our community. I think it's nothing but great. Will it help my property values? Probably. Will it hurt the quality of life? Will it hurt some of the sustainability in the green areas that our master plan said we wanted to protect? Absolutely it will. So what's the greater price? Hold them to what they purchased the property for and what it was intended to be used for. And if they can make a go at it, great. If not, I don't know why they would be more special than anybody else. I really don't. If I was asking for something that was 3, 4, or 5 times outside the spectrum of what our regulations and our government said I could do, I could tell you as an individual I'd be told no. I'm confident of that. I don't know why they get a special pass at it. Maybe it's just because they're out to make money. That's all I have. I appreciate you always listening and being considerate of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments? Good evening.
Stacy Ward, 107 Lake Street. I'm a little naive to the game, so I just had a quick question. When everything is signed and done, do they actually sign a contract that has all of these requests and demands and agreements so they're held accountable? That's my question. One of them.
Yes.
There would be a developer's agreement
Yes.
with the township.
So all of this would be listed. So
Yes.
okay.
Correct.
My other question was, do we already know, do they plan on hooking up to the village's water and sewer?
Yes, they would have to.
So have they decided?
So they do have to have an agreement. They have to go through a study. They have to have an agreement. They'll have to have testing for water pressure, for you know, to make sure it meets all of that, and it has to be with an agreement through the village. We have to have that agreement and know everything they're agreed upon before we can even consider looking.
So who's gonna pay for that?
It would be them, it would be the developer.
And then if everything is good and they can go through with it, then who pays to hook them up? Who pays for everybody's house to be hooked up?
I would think each individual homeowner then has to pay for their own hookup and pay for their water. I think that's exactly the way it is right now, is it not? That they,
Whoever pays to get hooked up.
They have their own tap-in fee.
Yeah.
And actually, they pay a bigger tap-in fee than anybody in the village does.
So what happens when they don't finish the sub and they don't sell it all? Who has to pay it? Who has to pay it?
well, let's hope that that doesn't come to that.
Well, it came to that with Pulte Homes because I paid for it. So now here we are again. I'm asking, and I want to know.
Right.
I want her to find out, or you to find out, and I wanted to see if it's in that contract because Pulte Homes couldn't finish.
But the existing homes there now, they all pay their tap-in fees when they built there. You're right, the village was, but that's kind of the village issue.
That's
Village-
kind of way too late for me. My bill
I-
didn't go down. My
couldn't-
bill's still as
could
high as
not
it
argue
was.
with that. You are absolutely correct. But,
So I went
That
from
is truly the-
$75 every quarter, which is 4 times.
Mhm.
Okay? Then all of a sudden it changed when they pulled out and there was no way to pay the water bill. Now it's $75 a month, like that.
Yes.
My water didn't change. I didn't sprinkle more. I didn't move anybody in. Well, now it's like, I don't know, 10, 15 years later, and I'm just down here addressing it again because this super tan fella that shows up with his big thing, he doesn't live here. He already said he lives in Auburn Hills. My question is, where's your historical downtown in Auburn Hills? Where's your farmland? Where's your people? Where's your sidewalks? The people are raising their kids and walking their dogs. I go to Auburn Hills, I don't see any of that. So his version of hometown is maybe not what we're thinking of our hometown is, or what my hometown is. The other question is, if you do approve them, I guess isn't a question, it's a request. If you do approve them, could they be held responsible with using local building materials and quality building materials?
I do not think we could hold anybody accountable or under
Well,
a
you
contract.
guys decide
where
if
would
they
have to.
can
It would, you
build
know,
here or
and
not.
That's a wonderful, I mean, if we could do that, because we always say if you
I
can,
mean, you either
can
say
shop
yes or
you can
you
buy
say
local.
no. Yeah, and if he really wants to build here, then
After they
That's
develop
good.
it though, then those lots, it'll be other contractors and
Mhm.
other people that will come in to build the homes. So there would be no way that we would be able to do that. It would be a nice thought, and we always hope that everybody could buy.
well, I think if you
could
put it
buy
on paper
local.
and they sign it, it's going to be more than a thought, right? What'd you say they got to sign? Something?
Developers agreement.
Developers agreement. Well,
Mhm.
let's put it in the developers agreement that you're going to buy local and not from Chelsea Lumber, which is what Pulte did. I saw all those trucks rolling through. Never even thought about it. Why can't they? Why can't we just tell them, look, go build somewhere else if you don't like it? I don't know, what is the village getting if they build here other than taxpayers? Or what does the township get? Like I said, I'm naive, I'm new to this. I'm just a
But
homeowner.
the village is not going to get any of the tax money from this.
Okay,
All right, this is being built in Holly Township, so it will be Holly Township that would get any tax-based money.
so is that all we will get from having this, other than a whole bunch of new people and traffic and possible problems with flooding and our ecology?
Well, we certainly hope it isn't going to come to that. And I do want to make this very clear. When we as a board and the township, when we look at the master plan, where in the future can we allow development? Now, yes, under the current zoning, it does show that that is lesser lots. But when the master plan was developed and they look at future land use and future land development, this is where that overlay district comes in. But being overlay district and having a special use under that really is what is going to give the planning commission a chance to either say, We agree with what you want to do. We're listening to all the people. We understand. We want to make sure it's going to fit in. That's why we're saying we want the studies from the school. We want the studies from the roads. We do agree that one size does not fit all, but they have a right to come to us. They have a right to tell us what they want to develop. And we as a board have to take a look at it, and we should take a look at it.
Yeah.
And I think all of us board members here, we don't want to see overcrowding or the roads not or the schools or whatever. So I can guarantee to you, we will not accept a preliminary site plan or a site plan ready to go before a public hearing until we're all confident that we can meet what we think will be good for the community.
Well, that's good to hear, because if you guys are in charge of this, then you can tell them what they can build and
And
how
that
they
is-
can build it.
Yes, and that is one option that we do have now under the overlay district. And this is why they're coming back to us, and they're keeping changing. Just because, it says in there that, yes, they can have reduced, but that doesn't necessarily mean that us as a planning commission are going to automatically accept that. So it's probably going to be a working process. And I can guarantee, because every one of us are, we live in this community, we have kids that go to this community, and we want to take a really in-depth look at it. But can we deny them from coming in? No, we cannot deny them from coming in. But we want to make sure that whatever we do is going to fit into the community, and it is going to be good for the community.
Yeah, I don't think you should deny them necessarily either, but I don't think you should budge and put everything on paper so they're held responsible, because according to these
No,
other
we will
people,
not do
they've
that.
already gotten away with stuff. My last thing is, he keeps talking about that retail space, but we already have empty retail space in our town, so maybe they could think of something else to go in that spot. Maybe a daycare to go with the new homes, or
We did mention, we did
anything
talk
that's
about
not
some of that, but.
traffic.
And that's
But-
that's all part of what we're going to take a look at, and that's why we want to wait till we can get some of this from the studies and things back to us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any other comments? We do appreciate all of your comments.
I do have one quick question. I'm not gonna walk all the way up there because it's a pain in the butt. Is there a different map that we should be looking at for future zoning other than map 15?
Well, not really. I mean,
Okay.
you look at, we have our zoning and our future land use, and
Right.
that's what we do take a look at, is what the township is saying.
I'm sorry, it was.
When they did the master plan and when they look at it, what are we gonna look at that we would allow for future
Yeah,
land use?
so it's, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's map 12.
I'm not sure do you wanna answer that, please?
Sure. So there's a lot of maps in the master plan. There's one that's map 10.
Okay.
That's the future land use plan.
That's what it is,
And
10.
that's in the section that talks, that has a description about each of the land uses in the future land use plan. So map 10 is a future land use plan. Then the map that you referred to earlier, map 12,
Yes.
that's where we started to look at the current zoning and laid that on top of the future land use plan to show that there was going to have to be modifications to the existing zoning in order to implement the future land use plan. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
It does make sense, but I think that.
Because the zoning that predated
The tagging of that map as the future land use overlay zoning is very misleading because it makes it sound like that's what you guys want.
Understood? Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying, it can be confusing, but that where it does show the overlay, it says what could possibly happen, but then again, this is where the planning commission can come in, and under those rules and guidelines with the overlay district, we will,
You're just having a problem because they can't hear the microphone, so anybody in the tape can't hear when she asks questions. So either
Okay.
you repeat the question or have her come up with the microphone.
Okay, yes.
Sorry.
all right, so, yes, again, that gives us an avenue for all of us to take a look at the guidelines under that for the overlay and for the development.
And And I promise, when I talk, I'll be more voiceless, so the mic picks me up, but. if
Well,
not,
either that or maybe we can bring the mic over to you.
I'm good.
If I could just, can I just add one more thing? So
Yes,
that map 12 is part of a section of the plan called the zoning plan. And in it, there's a description of what that map represents. And there's a line in here that says map 12 illustrates a relationship between the future land use plan and the existing zoning district. And then there's another table in here, and I understand this is a lot to absorb for, if you're not used to looking at these things, I can understand where it would be confusing. But there's also a table in here that explains what the future land use categories are in the future land use plan, that's map 10, and how it relates to current zoning, and then it has a description or a list of recommended zoning changes that would have to be done in order to get the township zoning to actually accomplish what's shown in the future land use plan. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy between the current zoning and the future land use plan, but we're trying to get there.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have any other comments at this time? Public comments? All right, and moving forward, we're going to move forward to the approval of the minutes. That would be the minutes from the August 16th Planning Commission meeting. Do we have any comments? Is there any changes or amendments that the board sees for them on the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of August 16th, 2022.
Motion on the board. Do I have support?
Support, Glenn Mitchell.
I have support for this with no changes. All in favor to approve the minutes?
Aye.
None opposed. Minutes are approved. All right, let's go forward. We have no communications at this time. And under old business, we do have Riverside Village Conceptual Plan for Planning Commission review and comment. We were not sure whether we would have anything brought before us tonight from Riverside. They have not brought anything into us, so, for us to review and make a comment, we would not be doing that. And of course, we've had your comments from those that attended, so we won't be moving. There'll be no action under old business. Under new business, we've got the Michigan Renaissance Festival. And last month when we did review the Michigan Renaissance Festival, we did ask that they came back and come to this meeting so that they can do, they could do an update for us on what's the Renaissance Festival, traffic issues, and traffic study. So I do know Kathy Parker is here tonight. And so would you please step forward? We'd like to know if you've got, what is there with the planning committee or with the Renaissance Festival. I know there was quite and we all had a copy of what was being required from Groveland Township, because of course that's where a lot of the issues is with the parking. Of course, the parking goes basically through, Groveland Township. So can you update us?
Yep, and I apologize for not getting up. I'm just recovering from COVID and having breathing issues, so I apologize. And I also apologize for us not being here at the last meeting. But the way it all panned out, we thought that it was being handled internally. We were in communication with Holly Township. As a matter of fact, I talked to Karen that very day. And so I apologize. I'm sure that if we had talked more specifically, we would have come to some different decisions, but that didn't happen. But the good part is that we've got a couple weeks under us with the changes that we made, and so it's easier to report on what we actually know right this minute, as far as the township's concerns, both townships' concerns with traffic. And so we did end up putting a lot of different signage in, both on Dixie Highway and at both expressway exits that are used by the people that come to the show. We also installed a whole new road and reorganized the way that the south parking lot is handled, because that's where most of the congestion was. And the problem was is that there was only one way in and out, and that area was surrounded by wetlands. It was expanded as far as it could be without encroaching on the wetlands already. But it just wasn't big enough to accommodate at least 3 or 4 cars is what it would have had to accommodate. So, I don't know why it took so long, but we had the epiphany that we could probably do some good by putting in a different road. And then we talked to the townships about that, and it was gonna go in over on Holdridge Road. We did apply a couple times, but the people on Holdridge Road, and we understood, didn't want a road dumping all of our traffic onto their road. So it was denied. But then this year, we looked at it and decided that we could give up a few parking spaces and install the road internally. And it comes out on Dixie Highway, and that's exactly what we did. The theory is that the incoming traffic was going to be heading north on Dixie Highway, and they would stay in the outside lane till they got to the entrance, the pre-existing entrance, and then they would use that. And anybody leaving, and that's a one-way traffic system now. So the only thing you can do with that traffic is, the only thing they can do is come into the park. Once they turn into the park, the road has one-way signs all the way down, and to exit the park, you have to go to the other side and exit on the new road.
Mm-hmm.
And that new road, it actually dumps out on Dixie Highway prior to the entrance. So the 2 traffic flows never meet. And we watched it for the first couple weeks, and it's working. I mean, it's definitely working. We haven't had backup. The center lanes have stayed moving freely, that's always been the goal for the townships and myself, was as long as we have one lane of traffic moving and never backed up, then we're not in jeopardy of causing anybody grief. And it appears at this point that we probably are being successful. If this all works out, then we have a secondary plan to do something similar on the north side. But we have 2 different engineering companies doing traffic flow studies and traffic plan studies. One is Fishback, and the other is Row Engineering. And they're working together in unison to do those traffic studies. They've got cameras all over the place. They're accumulating data, and will do so through the entire show. And at the end of the show, then we can have a more intelligent decision. Traffic has changed out there, that's for sure. I live out there. And it used to be that you saw a car every once in a while. And now you have to, I live off Trip Road. And a lot of times, not because of festival, just life, I'll have to sit for a while before I can make a turn. The traffic has increased immensely. So like I said, there's a lot of other just directional signage, encouraging people to take the proper lane, stay in the proper lane, hopefully then clearing that straight through traffic always. And the more direction you give people, the more apt they are to listen. But it does look like it's working pretty well. I don't know what else you would like to know. I mean, I'd be happy to answer whatever questions you have.
I know you worked really hard over this period of time to get this all worked out for Groveland, even to bring it to us. I think one of the planning commission's concern was we had this site plan before us so late in the season,
Yep.
to have it before us just a few weeks even before you open. So possibly with everything you have in place, and my understanding is after these traffic studies with these engineer companies and everything you have in place, you should have a better grasp even next year early enough to see where you would have to make changes.
Well, the traffic studies obviously will be done at the end of the show.
Yes.
So that's October. So it gives us, we can start in October And we already have meetings scheduled
Yes.
in October to start to look
That
at
would be
that.
good.
So yeah, so it absolutely will go forward. And as far as the lateness of the study, or the information you got, that plan was being changed quite often. I mean, we would talk to the officials at Groveland, and there would be different requests. So that map was a work in progress. When I gave it to them, when you got it, as far as that went, it really, it could have been better, but we were at a point where we were out of time.
Well, we're happy to see that you've got something and something working, and we can get a better grasp on it. So your attendance the last couple weekends, has the attendance been as high as in the past?
It was
I know you
actually
have-
higher.
Was it high?
All right,
higher?
we're up overall for the first 3 weekends, right?
3 weeks.
Yeah, we're up about 16,000 people
Well, that's a little.
with no issues.
So
no
that's a good
issues.
indicator that some of the changes that you've
Yeah.
made are gonna work, and
We're hoping so. We always thought that a secondary road would make a difference. It's just it wasn't feasible the way it was gonna be set up. You know, you can't blame the people on Holdridge Road for not wanting, at the end of a weekend, to have, 10,000 cars dumped on their
No, you
property.
can't.
And so we got that. But we also were up against the fact that everybody that we work with in both townships have always been very conscious of us not giving up a single parking space. But that's what had to happen to put this road in. But now it's a very pretty road. I mean, people are putting comments on Facebook
I
that
did, I
it's
drove
like a
by and
scenic
saw it,
area.
and I thought and it
Yeah.
is a nice road, I think it's a good.
No, they did
very
a great
good
job.
addition.
They were very conscious about not removing too many
I
trees.
mean, you've been there a long time.
Yeah,
We
way
know,
long.
I mean, we wanna see it work, but we
Yeah.
also wanna be sure that it's gonna be good for our residents that live in the area and good for the people that visit too.
Sure, and so do I, because I and my family are all residents of this area. I mean, we grew up here. My kids grew up here. We want it to be a great place. We want it to be where people can go to have fun, and it can be safe and escape the craziness of the world. And that's the reason I took the job 22 years ago, was because it was a fix to put on the community. And so, I mean, it's something that is really important to us as a family. We treat this business as though it's ours. I mean, every single decision made, everything that we do, to a fault. So we're conscious of the residents and their feelings.
I think
And I
number one-
live, like I said, I live off Trip Road. I not only am conscious of the residents, they know where I live.
Yes, and I think number one, we want to be sure that the residents that live off of Laring and Holdridge and
Yeah.
some of those roads, Perryville, that they'll be able to get in and out and are not going to have issues.
And
or
and we've
concerns.
always, what we've done in the past is give them, and again, it's just a work in development. I mean, you have to think about something before you can make it happen. So what we've done before was give them printouts they could put on their dashboards that said that they were Royal residents or whatever it was for the day. And so that the police that are getting people on and off Dixie Highway could realize that they needed preferential treatment. Unfortunately, it was too easy, and I'm not trying to be critical of the sheriff's department, but it was too easy not to be able to see it, or they didn't put it on their dashboard or whatever. So this season, we did something extremely different, and I had flags made, like when you see a funeral procession, the flags that close in the window, so that you identify that. That's what we had made for them.
That's good.
So now everybody gets 2 of those. If they need more, then we can do more, but
Looks
they
like
all
we
get
have a
2.
resident there
There
in
you
this
go.
one. Good.
There, Victoria, wave your flag.
This is a flag.
Good.
Now, okay, so now the sheriff's department will probably be able to see that.
I showed this to the sheriff that stopped me Sunday going in. They knew nothing, he knew nothing about the flag.
Good.
Well, he should, because
And then
they've
to
been
my
told.
husband, he did not know nothing
Oh, he did
about
not.
the flag. Here's the flag. And you stick it on there and I stop. and talked to the sheriff who was in charge, and he knew nothing of this flag.
Well, maybe that's something that.
I will call I mean, we we work really closely with the sheriff's department.
Well,
We have a
we
lot
can make
of
sure
sheriffs
that-
on our property,
All
all
right.
the time.
Because
And I'm
we
talking
wanna
year
make
round.
sure there is gonna be
So,
no
I mean,
issues.
a sheriff's department person runs our account room and has since long before I was there. So they should know. I don't have an explanation for that other than communication within the sheriff's department just needs to step up, and I'll call them tomorrow. But I personally think that
Well,
once the word gets out, they're gonna see that.
We'll give it a
and-
little more time and
yep,
see how it goes,
yep.
but if you can make some communication
I
with
sure
them so
will.
that they will be able to address
Yep, I sure
that.
will.
Thank you.
I might call Chip when I get home.
Do I have any of our board members, our planning commission members, do you have any comments or any questions for Kathy?
Yeah, I went there last night near the end of the night to drive through and see what I saw, and it was actually running really smooth. The only suggestion I had was from the original parking lot, you can see the cut through the forest, but you don't really know what it is. I knew it was an exit, so I purposely drove through there just because I wanted to see the new road, which is really nice looking. But you might need to put a sign either
Right.
pointing to it or in the corner or something that says exit.
We still have, signs is a whole nother topic.
Yeah, that's
And we
true.
And we do have signs still owed to us by the final company that we ended up working with. We started working with one, by this time now we're at the third. The other two, unfortunately, because of situations with COVID, ended up shutting their doors. This company took on the project, and we're talking, I don't know, what did it end up being, like several thousand flags or banners or structure, and we'll have all of them out, but there's a whole row of signage that goes along that new road that we don't have yet, that are 13-foot signs that say exit only. Then the area you come in on has running signs, the lower ones, that says one-way traffic only.
Okay, so
we
then,
are really trying to direct
there
them.
you go. All right,
Unfortunately, they just weren't made in time.
right.
Yeah, so my name is Jason Parker, and I'm directly the person responsible for the parking right now. And I've said in the beginning, it's going to be a work in progress. It's nothing that we can just put on paper and say this is what's going to happen and it's going to work. It's something that we had to lay out, figure out, see how it works, and alter. All right, so signage was something that I have temporary signs that you stick in the ground for the moment to where, so we just had to play it out and see how everything laid out. As everything unfolds, as we figure this out, we'll have permanent signs put in place. So it'll be easy, and we'll basically teach everybody the way the traffic flows, and they'll learn. And with my parking attendants, I have high hopes that everything's going to go a lot smoother in the future. It went amazing. We had 19,000 people plus on Sunday, and in the South Lot, we didn't have the issues that we had in the past. So I'm happy
Good.
with the new road and the way everything is going.
All right, anything else? I'm only gonna ask this question of the fire department. I'm not gonna have anybody else make comments. We've already had comments on issues. But is everything good, the fire department, because you're very important to when we look at Renaissance Festival or site plan or anything. Are you happy?
We're there continually. When it's
I know you are.
multiple people there, and the requests that we've put in.
We need a microphone close on.
Oh,
Yes, oh yes, I forget to tell you. Please step forward.
No, we are very happy. They work very closely with us. We have people on site all the times that the festival is open. Changes that are made, things that we see, they generally will make the changes that day. If it's something very substantial, they'll do it during the week prior to the next opening. We give them sort of a life safety evaluation at the beginning in the spring, and then they begin working in that prior to opening. And as Jason said, Some of them are modified as the season goes on, depending on circumstances, so
Okay.
we're satisfied.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. All right, well, I appreciate you coming forward. We've already had comments, sir, on part of the Renaissance Festival.
Yes, I am.
All right, I'm going to ask you to keep it very short, please, because we've already had.
I'm gonna do what I got to do.
Hmm.
Okay, if you ain't got time for that, I can come back again. All right?
Can you keep it short?
I'm gonna do what I got to do.
All right.
All right, yeah. Listen, it's not Kathy's fault. It's not the Renaissance fault. Maybe it's you all's fault. I don't know whose fault it is. But when the traffic back up on Dixie Highway from Grange Hall Road all the way down to 75, they get on their phones and they ask Google which way to go to get out of that. You know which way they come? Right down Larian Road. I was coming from church Sunday. They was coming out of the parking lot. Guess where they turned? 15 cars. I stopped and counted them right on Larian Road because I had to get my mail because I didn't get it Saturday. So when I got my mail, I had to wait for cars to pass by. I walked across the street. Some more cars came. So that ain't none of Catherine's fault. I don't know who fault it is, but somebody needs, you say you're going to put a sign up or something that don't use Fagan Road to come to Larian Road to come down there. And that's what they does, because they get on the phone and they ask Google which way to go. And Google tell them which way to go. Now I was going to church Sunday, I had my flag. This not Catherine's fault either. She probably did tell the police. But the police do, they say, we direct traffic, we're going to do what we want to do. And that's what they does. I showed him my flag, he did this to me. He let 12 cars go. I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there. He let 12 cars go by. Another car pulled up behind me. He let 4 more go, because I was counting them. And I'm right in the front of the line. If I was in the back of the line, maybe he didn't see the flag. Maybe he didn't see it. But I'm pretty sure, if Kathy says she told him, because she never have lied to me. If she says she told him, she told him. But those Oakland County sheriffs do what they want to do. They say, we direct traffic, that's what they do. So I don't know how you going, Kathy, I don't know how you and your son will stop Oakland County. But Oakland County is a lot of the problem.
Well, you know what, Charlie, what we can do is make sure that they hear us and hear you.
So you the one paying.
Yep.
So when I was on my job, I had to do what they told me to do, because they were paying me. You paying them, and they should be doing what you tell them to do. And they do not pay those flags no attention, because I showed it to him Sunday, and he let all those cars go through. But they don't do that, and that's not your fault. And you all say that you're going to find something to put up to tell the people, don't come down Fagan Road and Larian Road. And plus, when my daughter was coming to my house Sunday, I told her don't come Monday till after 7 o'clock. But when she was coming to my house, she had to get in the fast lane because the car was all the way back to 75. She got in the fast lane. And when she got up, that car was blowing at her. People getting mad with her because she's trying to turn on Larian Road. Now, the police should have been up there when that traffic backed up that far to direct traffic. But nobody up there. They all down there at the Renaissance Festival. All of them, 4, 5, or 6, however many down there, they all down there. Don't leave them all down there. When they see that traffic back up like that, or back up all the way to past the bar the other way, they should direct the traffic. And I don't know what you're going to do to get them to do that. But that's the problem we got.
I will call again tomorrow. And maybe if it warrants, maybe I'll call you and Victoria, you guys can come talk to them too.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Kathy. Let's
And
hope
that's
that-
from
like you say,
Fagan?
it's a work in progress, so let's. hope
Fagan
we
Road
get
to
it.
Laram?
Pardon me?
Fagan Road to Laram is the path they're going?
Yeah.
Okay.
What they do, they get on their phone when they back up, the traffic back up all the way to Grange Hall Road, when they back up like that, they get on their phone, and I would probably do the same thing if I was going somewhere if I know they gonna get me a way around. And so that's what they do. They ask Google, and Google say, get off, take Fagan over to Larry, and cut back in. And then the people don't want to let them in. The people do not want to let them in to get back in there to go. But if you had a sheriff there to make them go on down, they wouldn't do that no more.
Well, that might be something to consider. So again, work in progress and see how we can address this.
It's Larry Road has this issue. Perryville has the same issue, and that's in Golden Township. So you probably won't hear too much about it. It basically comes down to Google. I mean, it's a computer system, and it reads traffic volume. And so when it reads the traffic volume that we have, it treats it like an accident and reroutes
And it
people.
reroutes.
Yeah, it does.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I ran into it this weekend on Grange Hall.
Is you can't call Google and talk to them.
No.
I mean, as silly as it is, some of us have tried, but.
And I don't know if there is a way around that, but again, if there's some way or something to make sure that they are gonna understand what this is and let the residents get, to and from their homes.
About that. And there are people actually working on trying to figure out a way to communicate with Google.
It's not just
That would be
Google,
good.
it's also Waze. Waze
Yeah.
was a big
Yeah.
issue this past weekend. That's another app that people are following, and I heard through Oak County that was a serious issue, Waze, more than Google.
I just don't know the ways.
Yeah, they were
Technology,
coming
huh?
up 75 and flying off 75 on the Grange Hall. Because I had to slow down because they were flying in front of me on Monday. And I know that they were for the Renaissance because as soon as we got up to the light, they all turned left. So but it wasn't as bad as it has been in years past. Because of the directions, yes, I have noticed that. So.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for your comments. Moving forward, the agenda is our section for reports. Do we have reports, maybe from our trustee?
Nothing really at this time.
All right. Anything else? Any other reports? All right, we do have a section out for public comment, and of course, this is, again, for a comment, but does not refer, it is not about something that's already on the agenda, because we've already gone through and discussed items on the agenda. Do I have any residents that would like to step forward with any comment? All right, we're moving forward.
Can you turn your mic more towards your... There you go.
Is that better?
Yes.
All right. Can you guys hear me out there? Am I all right? All right. Well, just if I'm not, be sure and tell me. Well, I don't see anything else on the agenda, anything else to discuss, so I am going to adjourn the agenda, Planning Commission at 7:28. Did you want that back?
You need it? You can have it.
I'll hang on to it.